What would happen if China started to provide cash and weapons to Russia in the war against Ukraine? That's what we're going to talk about today because it looks like this could actually be happening, at least according to some US intelligence. I wanted to bring you the information and show you how this could all be a perfect scenario for China to take on Taiwan. Now that's what we really need to discuss. The first thing is the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the People's Republic of China, directly from their website, US hegemony and its perils. Among the different things are the fact that they have political, military, economic, technological, cultural hegemony, breaking all of those things down in this report from February 2023, throwing its weight around. Use of force, looting and exploitation, monopoly and suppression, spreading false narratives, and so on. All of this was discussed right here. China is basically trying to hit back at the United States and say, look at what you're doing around the world. Look at where you are going and all of that which you have done. Iraq, Afghanistan, Yemen, all these different countries, okay? That's what they're saying. So we have this. US considers release of intelligence on China's potential arms transfer to Russia. Western nations have intelligence that Beijing might end its self-imposed restraint on weapons supplies to Moscow. So at this time, China has basically been straddling the line a little bit over onto the side of Russia, saying we're friends with Russia, we want to do business with Russia. We're not going to, send them any military help and so on. That's where we're at today. However, according to this, they're suggesting that China is about to do that. And that would be the next level. That would be, in fact, World War III fought by proxy. So here we have more info. A Chinese foreign ministry spokesman didn't respond when asked on Wednesday whether China would supply lethal support for Russia's war effort. Quote, "It is a known fact that NATO countries, including the US, are the biggest source of weaponry for the battlefield in Ukraine. Yet they keep claiming that China will be supplying weapons to Russia." So according to that, they're saying, why don't you look in the mirror and stop saying that we're going to do so? So that kind of gives me the thought that maybe they won't. Maybe they'll do it another way. Maybe they'll fund it. Maybe they'll do it in a way that's not direct because they don't want to get pulled into this, because it's not as if they could just do one little thing and say that's it. They're going to have to constantly every month supply new things, just like it's happening right now with NATO. Okay, they're basically watching very closely to determine if China is moving forward with lethal aid to Russia. Important stuff here because, like I said, this could be the beginning of World War III. According to a report by Der Spiegel, Russia and China have entered negotiations for China to supply Russia with suicide drones for use against Ukraine. This would be a major escalation by China and likely bring Western sanctions against the country. Very, very important stuff if this happens. Sanctions, of course, you know how it works. That's the first thing they do. They sanction the country. Then they may try to, actually do a coup d'etat. They may try to have a rebellion from within the country. There are all different kinds of things. Some of that was highlighted in Confessions of an Economic Hitman, great book. But who knows what would happen with China? China is basically saying, look, you're talking about us, look at what you're doing. And so, can't we do anything? Like, this is the way it works. It is hypocrisy in some ways when you look at it, because the US doesn't exactly have a good record behind it. I'm not trying to defend China. I'm just saying, look at what the US has done. And all these other countries. Look at Canada, one of the first countries to bomb Libya. France, same thing. Libya, how many different countries have they liberated before? This is terrible. We don't need any of this, any of it. The only group that benefits are the military-industrial complex and the special interests. Think about it. Those providing the uniforms, those providing the vehicles, those providing anything, the weapons, anything. There's so much business is built around having war continue. And there was a little bit of a documentary somebody had sent me that I was listening to, talking about all of these really, really big businessmen back in the First World War. First World War, it's fantastic for all of the, the businesses that are supplying, but the war ends. And then how do you think those businessmen feel about war? They were doing good, and now war is over. Well, we need more war so that we get more business. And you see the cycle. New war here, new war there. You and I don't benefit from that. Ukraine war, UN condemns Russian invasion ahead of anniversary. That was expected. Of course, the UN is largely just the US, so this is what happens. Germany and China clash over the West's supply of weapons to Ukraine. Chinese diplomat accuses the West of adding fuel to the fire. Certainly is the case. I would hope that we can end this right now. They can come to a decision. There's a vote that takes place and let the people decide on that. That's just what I would hope, but I'm not, based on the fact that it's been a year so far, I really don't think. Maybe this is going to be the next Afghanistan, and will go on for many years. The Pentagon's vague threats to China over arming Russia, more of the same. China is employing a well-trod tactic to try to outmaneuver the US, as it appears more ready than ever to start helping Russia gain new ground in Ukraine with weapons shipments. All this is based on speculation at this point. They haven't said that, they haven't done that, but this is what they're going with, and sanctions would be the next step. Okay, so we got to pay attention to that. And where are we going in the next steps? Well, US to expand troop presence in Taiwan for training against China threat. The Pentagon is helping Taiwan focus on tactics and weapon systems that will make the island harder to assault. So essentially, how to protect themselves. Oh, it's all just self-defense. But this is a big one, because Taiwan is that country. Taiwan is trying to basically formulate its own way to be sovereign, and China is saying, no, you belong to us. And so there's this battle. And who's right? Who's wrong? I certainly don't live there. I can't tell you. I've read the history. Okay, seems like it's been around the block a little bit, back and forth. And so who has ultimate rights over Taiwan? That's up to you to decide. Ultimately, I think there's going to be a war that's fought over it. I really do. I think that could be on a small scale. Doesn't necessarily need to expand, but how would that ever happen? I don't know. I don't know what's going to occur. But it is very worrisome. That's really the big one. Bigger, in my opinion, than what's happening with Russia and Ukraine. That's just the way I see it. And these are, opinions that may not be popular, and I'm getting into some topics that maybe I don't always like to. But this is what happens. And why do I talk about this? Because economically, countries are suffering. And yet there's an unlimited amount of money that could be spent on war. That's all I'm trying to get. That's really the whole point. That's all. China expected to roll out Ukraine peace proposal on Friday, U.S. State Department official says. I would love to see that. I would love to see it implemented. I don't know what it entails, but certainly I want peace. That's all. Give peace a chance, they said, right? Russia drops ominous warning about attack on a second country. And I believe the one they're referring to is Moldova. Now, they don't see any threat. They think everything's okay just the way it is. However, in a speech, it looks like that was kind of insinuated. So we don't know what's going to come of this. Is it going to expand even further? I really hope not. The economy globally really needs the money to be spent where people actually need it. Okay, real people, infrastructure, everything that's just terrible. I'm sure you have a bridge or a highway that's where you are that is just falling down, breaking down. It's dangerous. It's a hazard to the people driving on it. And we don't spend the money on the infrastructure. That's where the money should be going, on helping our own people to be safe, to be secure, to have prosperity, and so on. That's my message. I hope you appreciated it. Let me know. If you disagree, put it in the comments below. Give me some hate comments. I love those too. I'll see you on the next one. Take care.